Hi everyone, this is Michael O'Brien. I wanted to thank you so much for purchasing How to Magish, the beginner's guide to becoming a professional magician. If you're listening to this audiobook, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to not only support my work, but to also improve yourself. In this book, I'm going to be spreading over 3 chapters, talking about ways to improve your magic, how to market yourself, and how to start making money performing paid gigs. In part 1, you're going to learn how to discover yourself, improve your performance, motivate your magic, learn how to script your magic, practice your magic properly, how to deal with hecklers, and the importance of theming your magic. In part 2, we're going to go ahead and take a look at different marketing techniques, like how to create a personal website, social media marketing, how to use classified ads, additional advertising like making cold calls and sending emails, and how to provide excellent customer service. In part 3, we're going to go ahead and take a look at ways you can start making money performing magic, like the difference between private and public events and how to book them, specifics on restaurant magic, specifics on street magic, how much to charge, how to work for exposure, and how to even create and sell your own magic to other magicians. Once again, I'd like to thank you so much for purchasing this book. Now let's go ahead and get started. Forward. If money was not a problem, would you keep doing what you do for a living? I have been very fortunate to be able to provide for my family and pay all of my bills doing something I truly love, performing magic. Magic is a major part of my life now. I can live comfortably with magic as my sole source of income. My name is Michael O'Brien, and I'm a professional magician and magic creator in Orange County, California. Over the years, I've discovered several methods or techniques that have helped me to turn my hobby into a way to generate income for my family. In this book, I'm going to offer some advice on how to improve your magic, market yourself as a professional, and go out into the world to book paid gigs. Becoming a professional magician is not difficult. Think of yourself as a business owner and get your head into the mindset of a businessman who is selling a product. My goal is to improve the quality of your magic and help you to market and sell it. Whether you become a full-time magician or just need some extra spending money, this is definitely the book for you. Before we start earning money with our magic, we need to make sure that we have a product worth selling. In this section, we are going to take a look at some ways we can improve our magic. We want to offer a top quality performance that will be worth our clients' time and money. Discover yourself. Let's start from the very beginning. Assume that we are working on a new effect or routine. Before we even start worrying about technique, we need to discover who we are first. What do I mean by discover yourself? Think about this. What makes some of your favorite magicians so memorable? What things do you admire about them? What do you notice about their styles? Each magician has their own unique personality that resonates within us. Are they charming, bizarre, elegant, rough around the edges, bumbling, funny, serious, etc.? Discover what it is about yourself that makes you, you. What do you love? What are your passions? What are your fears? Think about the character you will be when you perform. That character will be an extension of who you are. For example, I bring along several elements of who I am to my act. My character is very fun, likable, and passionate. If you don't know anything about me, but you watch my act, you will discover right away that I love my wife and daughter, have a passion for my childhood, and have a very easygoing and fun personality. These things will stand out to your audience, and they will be more than likely to remember how they felt during your act, rather than the tricks you performed. The worst thing you can do is try to copy or mimic someone you look up to. Improve your performance. When putting your act together, ask yourself, does my routine make sense, or is it simply a string of tricks put together in a random order? Is the effect easy to follow along with, or do I need to constantly explain what I am doing? If the audience is unable to follow along with the routine, they will more than likely lose interest. The two key elements to focus on when creating your routine are structuring the routine, or what your hands will be doing, prop management, etc., and writing your script, the things that you will say during your performance. Use the 3-act structure. Most movies or plays follow this simple 3-act formula, and believe it or not, it can be used in conjunction with any type of performance piece, including magic. The structure consists of 3 parts: introduction, conflict, and resolution or conclusion. The introduction serves to introduce the plot or central point of the routine. It establishes what you will be doing. The conflict simply gives the magician a reason or motivation to perform the effect. The resolution is the point in which they are able to overcome the conflict and therefore achieve the desired effect or outcome. For example, the magician is at a bar, but his wallet is empty. Introduction. The audience understands that the wallet, and more than likely the idea of using money, will be the central plot. He then explains that he can use magic to make money appear out of thin air. Conflict. The magician needs to find a way to produce money so he can pay for his drink. The magician then snaps his fingers and opens his wallet again to show 5 $100 bills. Resolution. The magician finds a way to produce money and does so. Critique and review your own performances. Once you have an established script and routine, it is good to practice the effect in the real world. Ask a friend to record you performing the effect for people. Later, go back and watch the performance and give yourself some constructive criticism. Are you making eye contact? Are you mumbling? Etc. Then go back and make adjustments as necessary to your routine. The best way to review your own performance is to watch it 3 times, each time looking for something different. Play smarter, not harder. Sometimes we get wrapped up in the fact that we learned an awesome move that took years to perfect and feel almost obligated to put that move in any and every routine we can. Though complicated sleights work well in some situations, oftentimes the easiest and most direct method works best. Rather than learning a hard move and trying to squeeze it into your effect, try learning a move that works best in that specific scenario. Usually the easier the move is to perform, the less risk you run of messing up and the more natural it will look to your audience. Always seek to expand your knowledge. It is important that you continue to learn as much about magic as possible. Aside from learning new tricks and routines, it is important to focus on all aspects of the performance, including magic theory, showmanship, routining, networking, public speaking skills, and much more. Only about 10% of the magician's performance is the trick itself. Try taking some acting classes or presentation lessons. There are plenty of free videos and literature on how to become a better speaker and improve your acting skills. It is important to remember that performing a magic trick is a very small part of the whole experience. Proper execution during performance will determine the different types of reactions you will get. Was what they just witnessed cool, or was it impossible? You may also network with other magicians. This is perhaps the best way to expand your knowledge. There are several ways to meet fellow magicians. Perhaps join your local magic club, such as IBM or SAM, or stop by the local magic shop. The internet is a wealth of information as well. We have forums, for example, themagiccafe.com, Skype, Facebook, etc. Get some constructive feedback on your routines and see what works best for you. Sometimes a fellow magi will have an idea that you never thought of before. Motivate your magic. When it comes to magic, it is all about asking your audience to suspend their disbelief just long enough to enjoy these impossible miracles that they have witnessed right before their eyes. Sometimes there are certain things that make people think, wait, that doesn't make sense. This can totally take people out of the moment and really hurt your magic. Motivating your magic will help you to navigate around any roadblocks and bring your performance to its full potential. What do I mean when I say motivate your magic? Do I mean you need to sit your magic down and have a heart-to-heart with it? Well, not exactly. The term motivation simply means to have a reason behind doing something. This can refer to the things you say, the way you use your hands or body, or even the props you are using. Have you ever been taken out of a movie because one of the characters did something that didn't make sense? In magic, it is the same thing. There are thousands of ways you can help motivate your magic. However, in this section, we will focus on a few common examples to help give you an idea of what to look for. Number 1, pattern and script writing. When it comes to motivating your moves, props, or magic in general, you really need to understand how that piece of magic fits into the routine. Writing a script or formulating an outline detailing the storyline will help you to motivate things that may otherwise seem unnatural. If I am talking about how magicians can use magic to make money, some props to consider would be a wallet, a pen, bills, coins, or a small purse. These items all make sense to be used in the routine. How you use these items in the routine will determine how well the audience will receive the performance. For example, if I were to remove a coin purse from my pocket, place it onto the table, then produce a coin, it would make sense to use the purse somehow. Whether it be place the coin inside it, make the coin vanish and appear in the purse, etc. If I ignore the fact that there is a purse on the table, eventually someone is going to be like, "What's with the purse?" If it has no relevance to the story or plot, it will automatically become a fishy prop that puts up a red flag. Number 2, using props and gimmicks. Sometimes it is necessary to introduce a prop or gimmick into the routine to make certain effects possible. Though adding props can help the routine along, it can also hurt the routine if not used properly. Props and gimmicks are typically added to a routine to help cover a move or replace a sleight. If used properly, they can mean the difference between creating a trick and a miracle. Here are some tips on how you can get the most out of your props and gimmicks without hurting the routine. Use a magic wand. A wand can be in the form of a pen, pencil, straw, or even a Sharpie. Using a wand will help do 2 things for you. Conceal an object in the hand and help motivate the false transfer. The false transfer in itself is an unnatural move. However, you can motivate this move by giving yourself a reason why you place the ball into the other hand. For example, to pick up the wand to make it vanish. Holding the wand using the hand concealing the ball will also make the hand look more natural and to help hide the ball. Use props that work well with one another. Along with using a wand, if you are performing a chop cup routine using borrowed, crumple-up pieces of paper and an old coffee can, it would make sense to use a wand that goes along with this theme. Pulling out a shiny chrome wand that looks really expensive would not make much sense in this situation. A stir straw would make a better wand because it goes along more organically, or naturally, with the other props involved. Avoid overusing props or gimmicks. Do your best to only use props when it is necessary. If the prop does not move the plot forward or assist the magician in executing a sleight, then try to avoid using it. For example, if using a wand is not necessary, then simply do not use it. Make sure the prop or gimmick is relevant to the plot. Perhaps the biggest misuse of a prop or gimmick is using it at the wrong time or when it does not serve the plot in any way. For example, let's assume you needed to add a card concealed in the card case to the deck. The easiest way to do this is simply to place the deck in the case and then remove it again. However, if in performance you simply placed the deck in the case, then removed it again, it would look really strange. A good way to motivate this would be to place the cards in the case to quote-unquote sleight of hand proof them so that the magician cannot manipulate the cards in any way. Perform the magic move then take the cards out to reveal the desired outcome. Simply by forming the plot around the card case, I was able to make an unnatural move appear more natural. Number 3, motivating moves. How do we motivate moves? In this segment, I will focus on one of the most common ones, the double lift. There are perhaps more double lift techniques out there than stars in the universe, each with its own unique theory behind it. In order to keep this as short as possible, we will focus on 2 things: using the right technique and motivating the turnover. How do I know which technique is the right technique? Though there is no real right or wrong answer to this question, the biggest thing that gives away your double lift is how different it looks to the way you normally turn over cards. It will stand out and draw a red flag if it looks different from the way you have been turning over cards before. The best way to perform your double lift is to make sure it looks as close as possible to your single lift or your normal turnover. There are 2 ways to achieve this. Find the double lift that most closely resembles the way you turn over a single card, or start turning over single cards the way you turn over your double lift. How can I motivate the turnover? The most awkward part of any double lift is the point in which you need to place the 2 cards back onto the deck, only then to immediately grab one of them off the deck and place it onto the table. That extra pause is necessary to perform the move, but can look unnatural to people. Ask a friend who does not perform magic to take a card off the top of the deck, show it to you, then place it onto the table. You will notice they probably will never come back near the deck a second time. Obviously, this movement is necessary to execute the sleight, so how can we make it look less suspicious? The best way I have found to motivate placing the card on top of the deck again is to create a pause, or a momentary interruption, between the point which the double lift is turned face down and the single card is placed onto the table. This pause only needs to last a second, but it can help give you a real reason behind why you took 2 steps instead of 1. Simply ask the spectator to hold out their hand as you gesture with yours, giving an excuse as to why you paused, to show them what to do with your empty hand. Or you could pause to clean off the space on the table you want to place the card down, move a cup out of the way, move a card case out of the way, etc. Script your magic. Number 1, brainstorm ideas. What are some things that you think would make for an interesting presentation? Try to come up with some different themes or ideas that you think would showcase your personality. Try to stick to things you know. Things that you are most comfortable with will be the most natural during your performance. Number 2, create a rough script. Once you have a few presentation ideas brainstormed, try pairing them with the particular effect you are working on. See what works and what doesn't. Make sure that the script flows well with the effect in question and makes sense. Number 3, rehearse and adjust. Once you have a rough script down, rehearse and perform the effect until you become comfortable with it. The more you rehearse, the more natural and less scripted it will sound. Perform the effect for others, and over time you will make adjustments to your patter. Listen to what your audience has to say. You may discover that they can provide some very valuable insight and ideas that you may not have thought of before. Practice your magic properly. Are you not sure if you are practicing correctly? We want to make sure our magic is top-notch before we jump out into the world and begin to amaze people. The best way to do that is to practice. But what is the best way to practice? Number 1, perfect your technique. Every magic effect is made up of smaller components called moves or sleights. Before you can begin showing off your skills, you need to develop them. Take apart each individual sleight and practice it over and over again until the move can be formed smoothly, consistently, and correctly. I suggest taking a look at the Perfect Practice System DVD by Richard Rebuffo. He does a great job teaching a method that will allow you to easily break down those hard-to-execute moves and help you to learn them properly. Anytime you practice moves, you should do so in front of a mirror so that you can see the move from the spectator's point of view. This will help you to make sure it looks right from the audience's perspective. Number 2, rehearse your full performance. After you have broken apart and perfected each component of the routine, it is time to put them all together and perform a full run-through. Pretend you are performing for an audience and run the whole effect from start to finish, including your patter and script as well. Record with your camera and watch it back so you can catch any mistakes in your technique or your performance. Number 3, perform for a live audience. Once you can perform the entire effect from start to finish without making any mistakes, you will want to start performing it for actual people. Find a fellow magician, family member, or a friend who can give you some honest and constructive feedback. It is important to perform for real people because you will learn what truly works and what does not. You can perfect your angles and improve upon your patter. You will find that over time your performance will seem less scripted and more organic. The effect itself will also evolve to fit your style more, and you will become more confident. Do not stress out about getting caught. The more you practice and perform, the less likely you risk messing up and accidentally exposing the effect. Dealing with hecklers. How many times have you had to stop a performance in its tracks because someone decided to call you out on your double lift? Or maybe they kept asking to examine your props every 30 seconds. Sometimes, no matter how solid your performance is, you may get stopped by a heckler. Dealing with hecklers can sometimes be the worst part of any entertainer's performance, whether you're a comedian, magician, musician, etc. Hecklers can steal a show and stop it in its tracks, unless you know how to control them. Hecklers come in several different types. However, in this section, we will be focusing on 3 of the most common ones: the show stealer, the skeptic, and the curious one. The show stealer tends to want to completely ruin the magician's show in an attempt to make themselves look good. We don't like being fooled. However, some of us would rather ruin it for everyone else so that we do not look stupid in front of our family or friends. These are usually the worst kinds of hecklers because their sole purpose for existing is to completely destroy your show. The skeptic tends to be one to stop you every couple of seconds. Is that really my card? Can I see the deck? Can I shuffle it first? The skeptic usually does not believe magic is real and will try to get you to perform an effect under impossible conditions. The skeptic is not as bad as the show stealer because usually they will allow you to continue your set. However, they will call you out on everything they see, or at least think they see. Sometimes heckling is not intentional. Many times you'll ask a spectator to place a card into the deck, and they will naturally look at it first. They did not mean to ruin your trick, but their curiosity caused them to accidentally expose an effect or prevent the climax. The curious one is usually the easiest type of heckler to deal with because they usually genuinely want you to succeed. They just happen to accidentally ruin the show by not following directions or being genuinely curious about something. A bit of audience management will usually help take care of them. So now the moment you've all been waiting for. How to deal with these numbskulls. The honest truth is every situation and heckler is different. Think of heckling as a spectrum rather than a hard line. Some things work better than others, but I will give you some tools to combat hecklers in different situations and environments. Number 1, do not create hecklers. What? You mean magicians can actually create hecklers? Yes. I have seen this all too often where a magician is really rude or challenging to a spectator, then gets angry when the spectator ruins the effect. Rather than challenging them, bring them along on the journey with you. I tend to have a very kind, polite character when performing and have this very non-confrontational approach to my magic. I invite my audience to come along on this magical journey with me, rather than to show off my skill or challenge them to a game of, I bet you can't figure this out. Number 2, ignore them. Sometimes hecklers will yell something out to try to get you to mess up. Do not allow them to take away the attention and just keep on keeping on. They may get the hint that you are not amused and no one cares about what they have to say. This usually works well with a nice, stern look. If they are a skeptic, usually they will get the hint that they need to chill out and will stop. Show stealers, however, typically will not stop. So how should we deal with this issue? Number 3, get the heckler directly involved. 99.9% of the time, a show stealer literally just wants attention. Get them on your team and give them the spotlight for an effect. Let them shuffle the cards or pick one out. Let them do the magic. Honestly, this approach will usually work, and they even end up loving your magic at the end, sometimes even more than the others did. Number 4, politely ask them to stop. Sometimes a heckler will not get your subtle hints and need to be told like a 5-year-old to stop. Be very polite and professional when you do this. For example, "Sir, the people are trying to enjoy the show. Can I please ask you to stop? If you like, I'll be happy to show you some more after the set is over, and you can ask as many questions as you like." This usually works out if they just don't get the hint, because now they look like a jerk for ruining the show. Number 5, threaten to end the show and stop performing. If you have asked them to stop a couple of times already, explain that you will have to end your show. Apologize to the rest of the audience and tell them that once the heckler leaves, you will be happy to continue on. This will create an us versus them situation, and the audience will quickly turn on the heckler. The heckler will be so embarrassed that they will have to leave. If they are not embarrassed, they will leave anyway because the show is over. Continue the show once the heckler has gone. Number 6, destroy them at their own game. I personally do not ever do this, especially at a paid gig. But if you are quick-witted and clever, you may be able to make them look really stupid by one-upping them at every step. They make a stupid comment, you one-up them with one. They try to ruin your trick, you do a better one. 2 great resources for dealing with this that come to mind are Read Between the Lines by Gazzo and Heckler by Brian Tudor. Gazzo has some really clever one-liners that you can use in almost any situation. Brian Tudor has created an awesome card effect specifically designed to make people look and feel stupid for heckling you. There are tons of more ways to deal with all sorts of hecklers. However, I hope this gives you an idea on how to handle the different types of situations out there. Do not be discouraged, because even the best of the best have to deal with people who have nothing better to do than to ruin your performance. Theming your magic. Has your magic not been getting the "oh my god" reactions that you've been hoping for? Believe it or not, there is a time when simply relying on visual tricks won't completely sell your audience on how amazing it is. The one missing component is giving your magic a bit of personality. One of the most important components of magic, coincidentally, is also one of the most overlooked when it comes to magicians putting together their act. I am speaking, of course, about theming. What does this mean exactly? Well, the simple answer is giving your act a reason for people to care about it. This can mean telling a story, or using an emotional hook, nostalgia, and more. Number 1, give your magic an engaging story. One of the biggest problems with a lot of magic performances is the fact that they do not have a story. Your patter should not just explain what you are doing. For example, I will take your card and place it into the middle, I wiggle my fingers, and now it's on top. This type of patter can get pretty boring after a while. It would be better not to say anything than to narrate what you are doing over an effect. Let's use the above example again, but this time give it a story or purpose. Believe it or not, most magicians actually make the best card cheats. The reason is simple. They can find your card in the deck, turn it invisible, pull it out of the deck, and place it on top without you even seeing it. Do you believe me? Watch. I'll prove it. You can then mime pulling out an invisible card and place it on top. The mechanics are identical, and the trick is technically the same. However, the audience is more invested because you've made it more fun with the bit about the invisible card and how magicians cheat. This is an example of how adding a story or motivation to your magic can make it more interesting. Number 2, always make the more interesting choice. This seems like an obvious statement. However, many magicians fail to seize the opportunity to do something creative with their props. For example, I have been performing card to pocket for years. The routine is visual and gets some pretty decent reactions. The card even ends up folded inside of a peppermint tin at the end. I decided to do something a bit different with the props to make the effect more appealing to children. All I did was these 3 things. Swap out the deck of playing cards for Pokemon cards, swap out the mint tin for a Pokeball, and give the effect an engaging story. The effect now became very interesting and fun for children, but also added nostalgia and an emotional connection for young adults. Every time I take out the Pokemon cards, at least one person in the audience gets super excited and yells, "Oh my God, Pokemon cards!" This is now the most requested piece of magic in my set, and I didn't have to change the handling of the effect at all. From a technical standpoint, the effect is almost identical. Number 3, theme the magic to match your brand or look. I often see magicians performing magic out of the box. This can refer to both the performance and the props themselves. If you are going to perform the cups and balls, choose a set of cups and balls that make sense with your overall theme. For example, I dress like a 1920s newsboy. My cups are old-looking copper cups with small little baseballs. One of my good friend's character is a magical explorer type character, so his cups are brass with beautiful Egyptian-looking designs on them. If you are a child's performer, you can use bright, colorful cups and toy balls. It would look really strange if I were to perform at a corporate event using plastic toy cups I clearly bought from a joke shop. Make the more interesting choice and choose something that would add more value to your performance. I even encourage you to build your own props when possible. It may serve to add more personality to your magic. It is extremely important to add an emotional hook to your performance. The more invested your audience is, the stronger your magic will become. I have seen magicians completely thrill an audience with just a simple double lift because their story and theme was there and the performance itself was very powerful. Marketing yourself. All right, your magic performance is top shelf and you're ready to start selling it. Before we start making any money, we need to get our marketing materials in order. In part 2 of this adventure, we will be focusing on marketing strategies to help get your name out there. Creating a personal website. You would be surprised how many people have booked me just because I have a good-looking website. Having a website legitimizes your business and adds value to what services you have to offer. The best part? Owning a website is actually pretty easy to do. Before we talk about the site itself, let's talk about search engine optimization, or SEO for short. This means depending on how optimized your website is, it will rank higher or lower in a Google search. The more optimized your site is, the easier it will be to find using a search. The ultimate goal is to rank as high as you can, putting you up as high on the list as possible. The higher on the list, the easier it will be for people to find. There are several ways to help optimize your site. For example, number 1, make good use of keywords. Carefully choose the words you will be using on your site. The more those keywords appear on your site, the more optimized your site will be for those specific keywords. Make sure the keywords appear in your title and heading, as well as the first paragraph or 2 of your page. Do not litter your page with keywords in an attempt to cheat. Your keywords should appear organically in your site. Otherwise, Google may flag your website as spam, which could even get you banned. For example, my homepage says, "Book a professional magician in Orange County, California today." This means that if anyone searches for Orange County Magician in Google, it will hit on those keywords and my website will be pushed higher up on the list. Number 2, make it easy to read. Make sure your content is easy for the reader to follow along. Avoid run-on sentences and do your best to use proper punctuation and structure. Honestly, write your content at an 8th grade reading level. Number 3, shorter load times. If your website takes too long to load, people may end up backing out. Stuffing your website with content may overload the page, and as a result, it will take longer to load. Try spreading out the content on your site and compress images and videos to load as quickly as possible. Number 4, choose a good website editor. There are several great website editors out there that Google recognizes to optimize your site. WordPress is widely accepted as one of the best website editors because it is extremely compatible with the guidelines Google is looking for. WordPress has a fun feature called the Yoast SEO plugin that allows you to see how optimized your specific keywords are. Weebly is the editor I use for o'brienmagic.com. Number 5, have good and relevant content. This one is pretty self-explanatory, however extremely important. Make sure your website has good, fun content that engages your viewers and keeps them on your site. The more they click through your site, the better you will rank. The more people bounce out or back out of your site, the lower it will rank. Make sure your content is relevant to your site. Do not include anything that is not relevant. Number 6, search for your site yourself. Check for yourself where you are ranked by doing a quick Google search. Try using keywords you think your target audience would use. For example, Southern California Magician. Then see where you rank in the search. Make sure to use a private window like Chrome Incognito, for example, so that your search is genuine and not biased based on stored data or cookies. Make changes to your site as necessary to help adjust your ranking and stay towards the top. Now that we know a bit about optimizing our site, let's talk a little bit about the actual content you should be including for your viewers. Remember, the more engaging your content is, the easier it will be for people to want to stay on your page. Number 1, make sure your content is consistent to your product. Make sure that the images you see and the words you read are consistent with what you are selling. Avoid using bait and switch type keywords that do not hold true to your site. For example, I would not advertise a blowout sale on refrigerators in my keywords, only to have the client realize I don't even sell refrigerators. Yeah, it may get more people to your site, but they will instantly back out. Number 2, create an overall theme or brand. When someone visits your website for the first time, you want to create an instant impression that will help them understand more about you. For example, if you are a kids party magician, maybe use a lot of bright colors, balloons, and pictures of kids. If you are a serious mentalist, maybe use more neutral colors and sharp corners in your construction. Your brand should be an extension of your character you portray in real life, so theme your website to best suit your show and your personality. If the client books a kids party magician based on what they saw on your website, they will expect you to create the same tone in your show. Number 3, know your demographic. Before you put pen to paper, or in this case, finger to keyboard, make sure you have a firm understanding of who your target demographic is. Would you rather perform for kids or adults? Are you looking for comedy venues or more serious corporate functions? Once you understand who your demographic is, make sure to focus your brand to that demographic and theme your website with those clients in mind. This will make it easier for your clients to focus without having to weed through irrelevant content. Number 4, think like your clients. Sometimes as magicians, we get caught up in trying to design our website based on how we want to see it. However, it is very important to keep the client in mind when you are choosing your content. Avoid using magician-specific terms like parlor or table hopping. Instead, use more relatable terms like stand-up or strolling and walk around. Number 5, have a call to action. What is the purpose of your site? Is it to generate leads, build a contact list, book gigs, feature videos? Whatever your ultimate goal, you need to have a call to action to promote it. A call to action is a button or link that pushes your client in the direction you want them to go. The more they navigate your site and click closer to your ultimate goal, the better your SEO will become. Without a call to action, your client may not know how to get to your goal. Number 6, sell the whole experience. Sometimes as magicians, we let our ego get in the way and attempt to showcase our talent and how awesome we are. When it comes to booking shows and marketing yourself, you want to showcase the experience that the client will receive from booking you. For example, rather than say, I will make your guests happy with awesome card tricks, you can instead say, your guests will be talking about your event for years to come. Paint a picture for them so they can imagine themselves there at the event. Their choice of entertainment can be anything: music, comedy, a DJ, etc. It is your job to sell your services are the best for their event. Once you have sold them on that, you can let the magic speak for itself. The best thing you can do to make your website stand out is to honestly ask your friends, family, or people you know who are not magicians what kinds of things they would want to see if they were having a party. Tailor your site to fit your ideal client. Make sure that your content is consistent with your overall theme and sell the experience. A website is a living, breathing thing that is constantly changing, so always make adjustments wherever necessary and do your best to keep your site as optimized as possible. Now that we have gotten a pretty good understanding of how to create our website, let's take a look at some other important marketing tools. Social media marketing. Today, we rely on social media for just about everything from the news to keeping up with our friends to the advertising we see. That's right, social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, etc. are quickly taking over the way we receive and convey information. If you want your business to have a huge internet presence, you should have an active profile on all of the major networks. Think about it. It is literally free advertising. You can even link up your social media to your website and use it as a way to drive traffic to your call to action. Many platforms even offer sponsored ads, which means you can pay for a post boost and get your content shouted out to even more people. Market to your demographic. This goes without saying that you should aim your advertising towards the people who will actually use your services. Many times, a huge mistake that people make using their company Facebook page is to ask their family and friends to follow them. You should avoid asking your friends to follow your fan page for one simple reason. They are not going to contribute to your business. You want to make sure that the people who are following you are organic. This means that they liked your page because they found your content interesting. Organic followers are more likely to engage in your posts, like or share your content, or even to book you for your services, which is more than likely the goal of your company profile to begin with. Use Facebook to boost your posts. The average post typically only has an organic reach of about 6%. This means only about 6% of the people who follow you actually see your post. This reach can be increased in one of two ways. The first way to do this is to use paid advertising to boost your content. This means you can pay Facebook to allow your post to be reached by even more people. The more you pay, the more people will see it. The second way to get more engagement on your posts is to simply create posts that are engaging. What do I mean by this? Create content that will get people to comment or like your posts. Maybe do a survey asking people to share their favorite magic effect, or run contests and have people share your post as a way to enter. The worst thing you can do is blast people with posts that seem to beg people to engage them. One example of this is to offer free coupons or deals that have little to nothing to do with anything else on your page. Simply asking people to click on a link just because will get little to no results. Creating content that naturally invites people to engage will be much more effective. The moral of the story is this: the number one way to get noticed and to get your name out there is by using social media. Take advantage of some of the features that several platforms have to offer. Live streaming videos are a new feature that platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram are offering. This means you can connect live with your followers and interact with them. The list of cool features goes on and on and on. Classifieds. You have created a website and now have some social media profiles going. How else can you start throwing your name out there? To be honest, the limit is your imagination. Aside from social media, there are other free sites that will allow you to advertise yourself, such as Craigslist, Yelp, Yellow Pages, Gig Salad, Gig Masters, Thumbtack, and much, much more. These platforms are an excellent way to advertise because your clients are already looking for you. All you need to do is toss your name in the hat for them to look at. The three main classifieds I use are Gig Salad, Yelp, and Craigslist. Let's take a look at these three in more detail. Number 1, Craigslist. A lot of people dismiss Craigslist because it has a sort of reputation for attracting shady business. Though this can be true in many cases, I have actually noticed that a lot of my corporate events and birthday parties are booked through Craigslist. To make best use of your posts and to track as many potential clients as possible, I suggest you keep the following things in mind. Use a title that grabs your audience's attention and makes them want to see more. Be sure to include keywords that aim your services at the types of clients you want. For example, if you prefer children's parties, maybe put something like, "Make your child's party special with an awesome magic show." Or if you want to hire corporate type events, maybe, "Hire a professional magician for your company party today." Avoid clickbait titles that do not remain true to the content in the post. As much as your free offer sounds lovely, I would be quite upset to learn that later there really was no free offer. A major mistake that a lot of performers make is posting images that showcase them and their talents. Unless you are David Copperfield or Penn and Teller, people are more than likely not going to book you simply because of your name or how good at the pass you are. Clients are going to want to book the performer they think will be best for their event. So sell the experience that the guests will receive by using images that show the guests having a good time. Maybe a spectator helping you with a trick, or some guests smiling or laughing. You can always include photos of yourself as well, like headshots and whatnot. Just be sure it is not all about you. Make sure that the image you are creating is one of the entire atmosphere of the show and how your guests will be happy. High-quality professional photos will work best. Give a detailed description in about 5 sentences or so that will let your guests know what exactly your show is about. Just like your photos, your description should be less about you personally and more about the experience you want to create. Be sure to also include contact information like your phone number, email address, and website so that people can give you a call to find out more information. Number 2, Gig Salad. Another awesome and free platform that you can use to generate leads is called Gig Salad. This platform actually allows clients to search specifically for the type of entertainment that they want to hire, then automatically sends details about their event directly to your Gig Salad profile. This includes the ability to customize your profile, including a full description, rates, etc., a photo gallery and reviews section, and allows you to communicate with clients and book gigs. Gig Salad may also be upgraded by becoming a featured performer. For a monthly fee, feature performers are placed at the top of the list when clients search for you, meaning more leads. You're also able to include your personal contact information and website as well, allowing you to book your events outside of Gig Salad. Overall, this is a really easy and awesome way to generate a few extra leads a week. Number 3, Yelp for Business. Many performers hear Yelp and think restaurants and reviews. However, many people actually use Yelp to find local entertainment. In order to make the best use of your Yelp, simply create a Yelp for Business account. Some of the cool features that are automatically included are the ability to customize your profile, photo gallery and reviews, allows you to communicate with your clients, and include personal contact information and personal website. I would say at least 2 to 3 of the leads I generate weekly come from Yelp. Like Gig Salad, users can check out your reviews and either contact you through Yelp itself, hop onto your website, or give you a call. It is super easy to use, and setup takes only about 5 minutes or so. Another good thing about Yelp is that it partners well with Google searches. If someone searches Los Angeles Magician, my Yelp page is likely to appear even before my website does. Additional advertising. Now let's take a look at some other ways we can get a few more leads. Handing out business cards, posting ads in the paper, making cold calls, and marketing through word of mouth. Number 1, business cards. You are the best advertising for yourself. Whether someone asks you to see some magic, or you surprise someone unexpectedly and blow their mind, you have just advertised yourself to this potential client. After you are done blowing their minds, hand them your card and let them know where to see more. Never, ever leave the house without a stack of business cards with you. Number 2, newspaper ads. Believe it or not, several people still read the paper. Consider taking out an ad in the local paper. You may even stand out because most magicians tend to focus on digital marketing these days. Number 3, referrals. Sometimes the best advertising can be done by others. Try to get people to share your content on social media. Encourage clients to refer you to their family and friends. Ask local magic or novelty shops to hang your poster or hand out your business cards to potential clients. Some of the best leads I have ever gotten have been referrals from other clients who are impressed with my performance. I actually offer a referral program in which if someone connects me with the client and I book the gig, I will pay 20% of whatever I make from the event. I basically have a small team of free advertisers running around trying to get me gigs because they know they will profit from it as well simply by sending them my way. Number 4, cold calls and mailers. Sometimes you need to actually reach out to your clients rather than wait for them to contact you. The 2 best ways to do this are to call them or to use the old postal service to mail them a letter. Number 5, email. One of the best and most popular forms of marketing is email marketing. Like cold calls, you can contact your clients directly and customize your sales pitch to meet the needs of the demographic you are aiming for. MailChimp is a great source for managing large email blasts. Provide excellent customer service. What is it that gets customers coming back for more? The secret to having a long-term following is offering excellent customer service. I have over 8 years of experience as a customer service trainer and supervisor at one of the world's most customer service-based companies, the Walt Disney Company. I would like to take some time to share with you some of what I have learned during my time at Disney and help translate your kindness and service into money. Offering excellent customer service should be something every single company is striving for. Let's face it, when you go out to eat, you expect friendly staff who want to make your time both worthwhile and fun. No one wants to encounter a rude or angry employee. One bad interaction with the customer will literally destroy your relationship with them faster than 10 positive ones could build it. I have been trained by the best of the best when it comes to how to handle customer service, the Walt Disney Company. Before we get into how you should provide good customer service, let's take a look at what Disney has to say about it. Disney's service model. The Walt Disney Company has come up with a very unique model to help us provide the best service possible, called service. Smile. Even something as simple as smiling and speaking with a soft tone goes a long way. Eye contact. Make eye contact with the person you are speaking to and maintain a positive body language. Avoid keeping your hands in your pockets and slouching. Respect. Give your customers the same level of respect you expect them to give you. Do not treat them like a number or a dollar in your wallet. Treat them like a person. Value the magic. And no, I'm not talking about that kind of magic, but value what you do. Be proud of what you are offering. At Disney, we do everything we can to keep the magic and the fun alive. Do the same with your business. Initiate contact. Don't sit there and wait for them to find the courage to say something to you. Engage your audience and you will see them begin to open up. Create service solutions. You should remove the word no from your vocabulary immediately. Do what you can to help a client out, even if you do not directly benefit from it. End with a thank you. These 2 words have more power than you know. Let them know how much you appreciate their business and thank them for their time and their money. Michael O'Brien's magic model. In addition to the above service model, I have added a few more ideas to help you out as a magician. This is the magic model. Make them the star of the show. Avoid showing off how talented and skilled you are, but rather show off how awesome and wonderful they are during your show. Discover ways of making the magic happen in your audience's hands. Have the guest of honor help you with a trick. Do what you can to make it a shared experience that your audience can be part of. Ask them their name. The number one noise we all like to hear is the sound of our own name. Ask for it and use it throughout the act. I would rather hear Michael than hey you with the face. Give them something to remember. Along with making them the star of the show, find little ways to give them a memory that will last forever. The simplest way to do this is to let them keep a signed card or a piece of magic they helped you do. Don't have the budget to be giving stuff away? Then borrow something from them. Float a ring or bend a quarter and give it back. I guarantee that they will remember you every time they look at that ring or reach into their pocket for some change. Include something extra. As a general rule of thumb, I always try to include something extra at my shows. If a client books me for 30 minutes, I will usually do an extra 5 to 10 minutes free of charge. If someone purchased a book or a DVD off my site, I will toss in a free download or something. This will show the client that you really do care about making their experience a wonderful one, and that you are not just there to collect your paycheck and leave. Don't do just the bare minimum. Try to go above and beyond your audience's expectations. Contact your clients regularly. You should be contacting your client at minimum 2 additional times aside from the initial booking. For example, I always contact my clients 24 hours before the event to let them know all is going well, and 24 hours after the event to thank them so much for having me. This follow-up will help them feel at ease as well as to let them know that you care. Here are some more tips and tricks to help you provide excellent service. Avoid getting into arguments. This sounds like a duh statement, but sometimes clients can be a bit too much. Avoid telling off a customer who is trying to lowball you or getting angry at someone for telling you that you are not the best choice for their event. If you feel that the event is not for you, simply let the client know that you do not feel like you are a good fit and thank them for their time. You may be surprised to find out that they will end up calling you back to book you because you truly are just what their event needs. Get familiar with different customs and cultures. There are a ton of different religious customs or cultures out there. It is okay to be ignorant of how these cultures work. Just do your best to find out and treat their culture respectfully. For example, I recently worked an event at an Orthodox Jewish festival. I was not aware that women are not allowed to shake a man's hand. I found out the hard way during a show when I went to shake the client's hand. She politely informed me of the culture, and I politely thanked her and apologized for not knowing. Love your job. This will make your customer service shine more than any other piece of advice I can give. Love what you do. If you are miserable, try to figure out a way to make it fun again. The more fun you are having, the happier you will be. That happiness will rub off on your clients and they will be able to tell if you truly are having fun. Overall, the most important thing to remember is that providing excellent service, you are ensuring repeat customers will gladly hire you again in the future, as well as refer you to their family and friends. Start making money. Finally, the section you have all been waiting for. How to take everything we have just learned and use it to generate money. In this section, we will be discussing several ways you can actually make your living as a professional magician. Private versus public events. Private events come in the form of birthday parties, family gatherings, weddings, etc. The easiest way to book an event like this is to simply put yourself in the client's shoes. If you are planning a huge event, would you want to worry about your entertainment and stress yourself out, making sure that your guests are happy? No, of course not. Reassure your client that you are there to make their night as seamless and easy as possible. You will keep their guests entertained and make sure that they do not have to worry about how the night is going. Show them that you are more than just a guy doing some tricks. The thing that seals the most deals when it comes to booking private events is simply making sure that the client understands that you are there for them and will give them and their guests an amazing event. These events will more than likely be most of the type of events that you will book. A great place to start as a professional magician. Public events may come in the form of restaurant work, fundraisers, trade shows, etc. The key to booking these events is to give the client a reason to book you that will benefit them financially. Sometimes promising a good show or to entertain their guests will not be good enough to convince them to book you. The best way to book some kind of public event is to sell your services as advertising. How can you advertise for them? Let us assume you are trying to book a restaurant gig. They will be more likely to want to find out how you will get more people in their business rather than how well you'll entertain the ones already inside. Fundraisers may want you to help advertise their different offerings at the event in an attempt to get people to donate money. Trade shows will be more than likely to use your talents to pitch their products. Restaurant magic. Many professional magicians make their living performing magic in a restaurant. It can be a great way to make some extra cash, as well as hand out your business cards to prospective clients. You may be wondering, but how do I get booked in a restaurant? There are several different ways to approach hitting up your local eatery. Before you start contacting your local restaurants, there are a few things you really need to understand about restaurant magic specifically. Number 1, create a table hopping routine. First of all, what is table hopping? Table hopping is when you go from table to table, performing close-up magic for the patrons in the restaurant. It is important to choose effects that are to the point, extremely visual, use virtually no table space, and quick to reset. Your goal is to hit every table, having as big of a magical impact as possible while doing so in the least amount of time. These effects need to be hard-hitting, quick, and easy to follow. Long, drawn-out routines that take a long time to set up will drastically decrease the amount of tables you will be able to perform for. Your target set for each table should be 2 to 3 tricks lasting no longer than 3 to 5 minutes total. Sometimes it is rather loud inside a restaurant, so it is important to also choose effects that can be very visual and not rely on a lot of patter or presentation. Of course, patter and presentation are important. However, in restaurant magic, you need to also make sure that the effects are visual and may be able to be understood by the audience even if they cannot hear you. Try to avoid using the tabletop as often as possible. It will be very hard for patrons to see what you are doing, and space will be severely limited. Lastly, make sure your effects are quick to reset. This will help cut down on the time it takes you to prepare for the next table in between sets. Effects that are impromptu and involve no setup typically work best. This will ensure that you can hit every table. The more tables you hit, the more tips you'll receive, and the more business cards you can hand out. Number 2, understand the restaurant's needs. Perhaps one of the most common oversights for any young magician eager to perform inside a restaurant is understanding the restaurant's wants and needs. Here are a few basic things you should know. The patrons and staff come first. Turn over tables. You represent the company, and always ask if you're not sure. It is very important to recognize that the entertainment is the last thing on the owner or manager's mind when making sure that the restaurant is operating smoothly. Do your best to assist the staff and stay out of their way while they are trying to serve the tables. Be helpful when needed and allow the staff to keep the operation going. Restaurants will typically want to turn over tables as quickly as possible. This means they will want people to pay and then leave as soon as they are done eating, so that new patrons can come in and take their place. Avoid holding up a table that is ready to leave simply to show them a magic trick. Keep in mind you also represent the establishment you are performing in. Do not be rude or do anything in poor taste that may reflect bad on the company. If the company gets a negative review because of something the performer said or did, it will probably convince the restaurant to stop allowing magicians to perform there and may even put a negative mark on you personally as a performer. It is best to ask first if you are not sure of something. Make friends with the staff. Watch and see how they operate before jumping in. Always make sure that you have permission from management before performing certain effects, ones that may include fire, for example, or handing out your business cards. Now that we have a better understanding of what we are going to do when it comes to actually performing inside of the restaurant, let's take a look at how to get there. When marketing yourself and pitching your product to restaurants, it is important to understand that this is a business relationship. This simply means that both yourself and the restaurant will be helping each other to make money. The fact is, most restaurants have no need for a magician, and in many cases even see having one as an inconvenience. So how do we convince them that we could be an asset to them? The answer was simple. Rather than pitch your magic, pitch your services as advertising. So how exactly do we do that? The ultimate goal for any restaurant is to get as many people into their establishment as possible each day and in turn maximize their profits. A restaurant may see having a magician on the floor as a roadblock that may hinder the flow of patrons coming through. It will benefit you to flip this way of thinking and show them that having you will actually bring in more business for them. Here are a few examples of how. Number 1, free advertising. The easiest way to get people inside of your restaurant is simply to advertise. As a magician, you are already advertising yourself, right? So why not allow the restaurant you are working for to benefit from this as well? The way this works is simple. At all of your events, you'll hand out information letting people know where they can see you perform. This way, you get some repeat viewers and get some people in the door of the restaurant as well. At the restaurant's request, you can even make it a coupon advertising a free dessert with any purchase or something to that effect. You can also invite your following on social media along as well. Make posts letting everyone know when and where they can come see you perform for free. This will show the owner that you are willing to get people into their establishment even on your own time. It is a win-win for both parties involved. Number 2, repeat business. Another thing that will benefit the restaurant is giving them repeat business. People may want to come back to see the magician again and may bring even more family and friends along with them. It is important to have a few tricks up your sleeve so that clients can come see something new. Again, if the restaurant allows, you can hand out business cards or postcards with your information and offer a coupon for their next visit. This will help advertise yourself as well as get more people in the restaurant. Number 3, having an extra helping hand. As I have stated earlier, it is very important to understand how the restaurant operates. Remember, you become part of the staff when you are there. Try to help servers out as much as possible. Use your personality to maybe provide some recovery if a patron had a bad experience or the kitchen gets backed up. If the restaurant ever gets too busy, you can entertain the people in the lobby waiting to be seated to help prevent them from walking out. There are tons of ways to help out. Learn how to get out of the way and become an asset, and the restaurant will have no reason not to have you in their establishment. Now that you know your pitch and have some ideas on what you will tell the owner or manager, let's talk about the hardest part of the whole thing, getting your foot in the door. There are several ways to actually approach a restaurant. I'm going to simply list the methods I use most that help me get in with the manager. Keep in mind, some of these methods may work best for some people and not others. Try the method that you are most comfortable with first and see if you have any luck. Me personally, I use all of them depending on the situation. Number 1, cold calls. First off, what is a cold call? This is when you pick up the phone, or it can be done using email as well, and contact a prospective client and let them know what you are all about. The most important thing about the cold call is that you are giving them a good first impression and setting up a meeting to discuss your services. Try not to discuss your services in detail over the phone. Try to keep the conversation as short as possible and aim to meet in person. The reason for this is simple. You're going to be able to win them over much easier in person than you will over the phone. Use a cold call as a way to introduce yourself and get them interested in what you have to offer, or how you can benefit their company. Remember, this is a joint partnership, so avoid making yourself the star. Focus on how they will benefit from your services and set up a meeting. Your cold call should only last about 2 to 3 minutes at most. If you would like to learn more about making cold calls, there are tons of resources for free on YouTube. Number 2, door to door. Another way to introduce yourself and your services is to go door to door. The idea is the same as the cold call. Introduce yourself and try to set up a meeting. The reason you do not want to meet with them immediately, unless they insist of course, is because you want to avoid interruptions and allow yourself enough time to truly pitch your services. You do not want to rush through it. After you've set up a meeting, head out to the next restaurant and repeat the process. Number 3, as a patron. One of the easiest ways you can pitch yourself is as a patron of the restaurant you are already dining at. After you have finished eating, you may ask to speak with a manager and let them know of your positive experience. Explain that you would love to help their business out, and once again, just as stated above, set up a time to meet. It is important to remember to dress nicely while dining out so that when you make your pitch, you leave a good first impression. So let's assume you have set up a meeting. Your goal is now to pitch your services and what you have to offer. The idea is to get booked by the end of the meeting. Number 1, have materials and literature prepared. It would behoove you to come prepared with literature and handouts to give to the manager while you are making your pitch. These things will include sample advertising cards, sample coupons, literature outlining your product, a price guide, etc. Be sure to also bring something to perform so that you may offer a live demo. Number 2, offer a free demo. Sometimes an owner or manager will want to watch you in action. Offer to come in on a slow evening and perform for their patrons for free so that they have a chance to see you in the act. The reason I say slow evening is so that the manager will be free to watch you. It will all be for naught if you worked for the event for free only to find out that the manager didn't even see any of it and to tell you no, or can you come back and do it again. This will also set their mind at ease so that they know you can give a proper demo without slowing down the restaurant on a busy night. Number 3, invite them to watch you perform. In some instances, you can even let the owner know where you typically perform and invite them to come sit in on a show. If you do not already have a public show lined up, maybe you can invite them to your website or YouTube channel and show them videos of you performing for real people. Avoid performing one-on-one with the camera. Pitching yourself to a restaurant can be an extremely intimidating, tiring, and stressful process. The best thing to keep in mind is that if you do not book the gig, it is okay. There are plenty of restaurants in your area that you can go to next. As a rule, I try to avoid corporate-owned chains only because usually the decision maker is not the manager, and there are a ton of hoops to jump through. Street magic. For centuries, performers have been making a living entertaining people on the streets. Busking, also known as street performing, whether it be performing magic, playing music, or even juggling, can be a great way to practice your craft and earn some serious money. The term busking originally derives from the word basking, as in basking in the sun, to symbolize the hard work street performers put into their shows, often in harsh conditions or out in the sun. The term nowadays refers to any type of performer who makes money by entertaining the general public for tips. These performers are able to make their living by bringing in crowds of people, putting on a show, then graciously asking for donations in return. You mean to tell me I can get people to pay me simply by putting on a show for them? There is a lot of work that goes into being a successful street performer. However, with enough practice, dedication, and hard work, you can make a living performing for people on the street. Remember, you will only get out of it what you put in. If I'm interested in learning how to busk, what are some things any professional street magician should know? Play big, interact with your audience, speak up, be likable and approachable. First and foremost, you want to make sure you have a routine that plays big to an audience and involves a lot of interaction. If you perform card magic, for example, try to create an act that plays big and is easy for people to see, even if they are not standing very close up. Card to pocket, card to lemon, or the floating card are examples of card tricks that can play big. You may also consider visual effects like rope magic, linking rings, coin magic, or sponge balls. When designing your act, make sure to include plenty of interaction with your audience. Make jokes, hand out props, bring people up to volunteer. Make the show about them and get as many people involved as you can. The more involved your audience is, the more fun they will have, which means the more likely they will want to tip you at the end. Make sure to speak up and make eye contact while performing. If people cannot hear you, they will probably end up leaving in the middle of your act. Engage people. Make eye contact and be as approachable and likable as possible. If your audience is able to follow along and have fun, Again, it will increase the chances of them staying throughout your entire act, which makes them more likely to want to tip you. One of the hardest things about any street show is gathering your crowd. Usually once you have 2 or 3 people watching you perform, others will be more inclined to want to stop and watch your show. You will eventually start to form a crowd, and next thing you know, we'll have 30 to 40 people watching you. The trick is getting that first couple of people to stop and watch your act. So how can I do this? Have a good hook, proactively engage people, be approachable, and establish who you are. Have a good hook to get people to stop and get invested. What is a hook? It can be anything that grabs people's attention and distracts them from what they are already doing. Playing on their phone, having a conversation, shopping, etc. Your hook can be as simple as a question. How are you doing today? Would you like to see a free show? Or it can be more interactive, such as performing a quick visual effect. For example, produce fire from your wallet. The idea of the hook is to get them to stop what they are doing and to give you their attention. Sometimes people will not be interested in what you have to say or may even ignore you completely. This is why it is important to be proactive, approachable, and establish who you are. Be cheerful and friendly. Be funny or witty. Tell a joke and smile. Be proactive and engage people without begging them to stop. Unfortunately, a lot of street performers get put into the homeless panhandler category. Ensure them that you mean to entertain them with a free show and have no intentions of begging or trying to scam them. If people like you and get a good first impression, they will be more than likely to give you a chance to show them what you have to offer. So you have put together an awesome show, and you've even gathered a small crowd of people. Now you may be wondering, how do I get paid? There are a few different things that you can do to encourage people to tip you. Put out a hat, box, or sign. Perform effects using money. Use a hat line. And be honest and straightforward. Asking for money can be awkward at first. Unless the audience knows that they are supposed to tip you, even if they enjoy your show, they may leave without paying. A great way to hint to them to pay you is to simply put out a hat or a box with bills in it, or even a tip sign. Maybe perform effects using borrowed money and hint to them to let you keep it at the end of the performance. Making good use of your hat lines will also encourage people to pay you. What is a hat line? This is just the phrase or words you will use to tell people to tip you. It can be subtle, told in a joking way, or you can even come out and tell people straight up that you live off of these tips and if they enjoyed your performance, to pay you. Always be honest and avoid tricking people into paying you. Provide a fun and entertaining show that is genuine, and people will be happy to tip you what you deserve. When it comes to being a street performer, the most important thing to remember is never give up. You will get rejected, ignored, and people will leave without paying. Focus on those people who truly want to watch your show and give them an experience they will not forget. I promise you, if they truly enjoy your show, they will be more than happy to pay you. How much to charge? One of the things I get asked the most often is, how do you know how much money to charge your clients? Knowing what to charge for your services is a very important part of being a professional entertainer. Are you charging too much? Are you not charging enough? How can I tell how much to ask for? The honest answer is that it really depends on several factors. There is no real right answer. You should charge what you think you should charge depending on some various criteria. Number 1, research your target area. It is important to know the general cost of living is in the area that you are trying to work. For example, I would not charge the same in Los Angeles, California, as I would in the middle of Athens, Texas. It really depends on where you are performing and what the cost of living is. If you would like a rough estimate on what you should be charging in your area, take a look at some other performers who offer a similar product and see what they charge. It is okay to see what others in your area are charging. However, do not undercut prices to make a sale. It is frowned upon in the magic community to offer bottom of the barrel prices simply to make a sale. Number 2, know your clientele. This is very important because your rate should fluctuate depending on who you are trying to book. I would avoid charging a flat hourly rate to every client because every client will be different. For example, I would not charge the same at a child's birthday party as I would at a corporate banquet. The trick is to customize your price to the specific event in question. Let's look at restaurant work, for example. In this example, let's say I am charging between $100 and $150. Let's assume now that I'm getting booked for a 5-star restaurant in the middle of Hollywood, California. I will more than likely charge double that simply because of the clientele. Like I said, avoid charging per hour and instead charge per event and customize the price to that specific clientele. Number 3, be prepared to haggle. A lot of clients may feel entitled to haggle with you. This means to negotiate your price to best fit their budget. This can sometimes be very frustrating for the performer because you want to get paid what you believe you're worth. Let's assume you want to make $200 for an event. I would suggest charging $250 instead. Best case scenario, you will end up with an extra $50. Worst case scenario, if they lower your price, you will still make what you originally wanted, and the client will feel like they got a deal. Now let's assume that they cannot afford your base price. In the above example, let's assume that they wanted you for $150. That would mean that you would take a $50 loss. In this case, I would suggest simply cutting down on services. For example, let's say you offer magic and balloons in your show. Maybe suggest that you will happily do it for the $150. However, you will not be able to provide balloons. It is okay to know what you are worth and expect the client to pay accordingly. Lastly, a good general rule of thumb anytime you book an event is to make sure you lock down the date with a deposit. I typically collect 50% of the total amount owed up front, then collect the remaining balance the day of the performance. I usually give the client 72 hours to cancel without penalty. Then the deposit becomes non-refundable. The deposit ensures that the client won't try to back out at the last minute. I will not schedule any event without collecting a deposit. Working for exposure. One of the things I hear most often from the magic community is, I can't put exposure in the bank. The honest truth is you can if you are clever about it. I will not take every gig I do for exposure, but the truth is sometimes a couple of pro bono gigs will land me some high paid gigs in the future, such as library demos, for example. I may do a company fundraising event for free, knowing that some bigwigs from other companies will be there. I can network with those people and potentially get them to hire me for their events. Create and sell magic to magicians. Do you have any awesome and clever magic ideas that you think other magicians can benefit from learning? Believe it or not, selling and distributing magic is simple to do if you know where to look. Let's learn how to create, publish, and distribute magic instructional videos and products to help get your name out there and even earn some extra cash. One of my main sources of income as a professional magician is creating magic and selling it to other magicians. You may be wondering, how can it really be that easy to do? I mean, don't you have to know the right people and whatnot to get into the business? Though it is true that if you want to get sponsored by a big name magic distribution company, you will need to go through certain channels. It is still possible to publish and sell material on many of these big name magic websites and even get your products distributed to magic shops and clubs all over the world. Before we talk about how to distribute your product, we need to talk about how to create one. There are typically two primary types of magic products on the market: physical products, or tangible ones, and downloadable content, or intangible ones. Physical products usually consist of DVDs, books, accessories, and gimmicks. Downloadable content consists of any type of written or video instruction that can be downloaded onto their computers. When it comes to creating magic, whether it be physical products or downloadable content, we need to check on a few things. Number 1, originality and credits. Before publishing anything, you need to do your research and make sure that your idea is not already published somewhere else. Believe it or not, your groundbreaking idea that you have been working on for years may have actually already been created by another magician you have never even heard of. A good place to start is a simple Google search describing the idea that you are looking for. Something may pop up and give you a routine name to look for and do even further research on. Try asking other magicians on magic-related forums if they have ever heard of anything like it before. Just be careful not to give too many details away. It would be a shame to have your idea stolen and published before you can get to put it out. If your idea is based on something you saw somewhere else, be sure to credit the source by including their name, the name of the effect or method, and if possible, where to find it. For example, the book and page number it is found in. Number 2, practicality. This term falls under 2 categories: practicality for the manufacturing and practicality for the performance. Make sure that your product will be easy and affordable to manufacture so that you can provide the best quality material at affordable prices for your consumers. Also, be sure that the product itself is practical in use during performance. High prices and impractical magic are 2 major deal breakers for most consumers. Most people buying your products will be hobbyists who want to buy something affordable and easy to perform. Number 3, startup cost. Along with practicality, take into consideration the startup cost to create, produce, or manufacture your content. Sometimes you need to invest in larger bulk quantities to save money and make your initial run worth it. For example, if you created an awesome design for a pack of playing cards, you will more than likely need to buy them in the thousands to make it worth the price. Finding investors is the easiest way to raise the startup capital you will need to afford it. Sites like Kickstarter or GoFundMe are great ways to find investors to help get your project rolling. Number 4, equipment and tools. Make sure you have the necessary equipment or tools to produce your content. If you are interested in creating a video tutorial, for example, make sure that you have proper filming equipment, an HD camera, lighting, proper backdrop, etc. If you are going to create a gimmick or tool, make sure that you are able to gather the necessary materials or outsource the labor from a third-party manufacturer. For example, if you wanted to distribute DVDs, you would either want to invest in a DVD printing machine or simply outsource DVD duplication from a third-party vendor. Number 5, performance and instruction. There are 2 different ways to create instruction: video or audio instruction and written instruction. Either way, your performance and explanations should be easy to follow and understand. You may be able to perform your effect without even thinking about it during a live show. However, when it comes to the instruction, you need to start breaking it down move by move so that you can properly teach the effect without skipping any steps or rambling on incoherently about something that the audience won't be able to follow. I suggest generating a script for both the performance and the explanation so that you will have an easier time teaching your idea. Number 6, pricing. The cost to manufacture and produce your product will have an impact on how much you will be able to sell your product for. However, it is a good idea to do some research and find out about what other products similar to yours retail for. Overpriced products will not sell. However, underpriced products may not generate any profit for you. So it is important to make sure that you will be able to produce content for an affordable price before you begin the manufacturing process. Let's say you've already created your idea and you are ready to start selling it to the masses. This will take a bit of communicating between different magic companies, as well as submitting your ideas for review. If the magic company in question likes your idea, they will be more than likely to carry your product. Number 1, personal website. One of the first things you should do is set up your own online store. Create a website that will allow you to carry magic products like Wix, Weebly, or WordPress. Most of these website creators have an online store built in. However, you can also set up your online store products using websites like Square, PayPal, and Etsy. Simply put in links to these platforms or even create buttons in an online shopping cart using these third-party websites. Please feel free to take a look at my online magic shop, o'brienmagic.com/magic-shop, which is powered by both Weebly and PayPal. See what works best for you and your products. Number 2, Murphy's Magic Supplies, or MMS for short. MMS is a magic distribution company that sells magic products to different magic shops and online stores all over the world. Benefits to partnering with MMS is that you can sell directly to them and they will take care of marketing, distribution, and selling your products for you. This is perfect for distributing physical products that may be harder to sell to magic shops directly. The only downsides to going through MMS is that you will need to sell your products to them for very cheap because they will be the middleman between you and the magic shops, which also need to profit. For example, my DVD may retail for $30. However, I will sell my product to MMS for $8, who will sell it to the magic shop for $15, who will sell it to the consumer for $30. This is the distributor I go through to sell all of my books, DVDs, and accessories. Visit Murphy's Magic Supplies website at www.murphysmagic.com. Number 3, Theory 11's Marketplace, also known as T11 for short. T11 offers a place for community creators to sell their downloadable content. T11 will take 40% of any sale that is made. Posting to the T11 Marketplace is a very simple process, and the staff is extremely helpful. Simply create 2 videos, a performance video and an explanation video, and upload them to the Submit page. Then fill in other fields with information, the effect name, the price, your influences, the short description, and the full description. Submit the effect and wait for it to be reviewed. They will check for originality, quality, and professionalism. So make sure that your content is original and properly credited, that the video is HD quality and well taught, and that you are maintaining a professional atmosphere. No foul language or obscene references. Once approved, they will send you an email letting you know, then simply click the Publish button to make it go live. You will receive a royalty check on the 11th of every month, as long as your total earned amount was at least $50. Their customer support is extremely awesome too, so if you ever have any questions, they are always ready to answer them. Visit Theory 11's Marketplace at www.theory11.com. Number 4, Penguin Partner Program, or PPP for short. The PPP is very similar to T11's Marketplace. However, you can submit both physical products and downloadable content. Penguin will take 40% of any sale that is made, or 35% if you agree not to sell or publish anywhere else. Just like T11, you will submit 2 videos, a performance video and an explanation video, and upload them to the Submit page. Then fill in the other fields with this information: the effect name, price, influences, short description, and full description. Submit the effect and wait for it to be reviewed. If you are sending in a physical product, you will need to send in 1 demo copy of the product for them to review. Unlike T11, Penguin will save your royalties in a bank, and you can choose when to cash out at any time. You must have a minimum of $50 in the bank in order to cash out. Of the 2, I have noticed that Penguin Magic has a much larger audience. Therefore, I sell more products on the PPP than both the T11 Marketplace and my website combined. Penguin also has a great support staff, ready and willing to help out along the way. Visit Penguin Magic's website at www.penguinmagic.com. Number 5, Lecture. Another way I typically sell my magic products is doing live lectures at the local magic shop or magic club. Usually the shop or club will not pay you to be there, so you will need to make money from selling your products to the attendees. Sometimes the shop or club will split a door fee with you. Either way, it is a great way to generate some hype and to get your products out there for the public to see and purchase from you directly. I like to offer a small discount on products at my lectures to make it seem more exclusive. When you lecture, you can also provide exclusive lecture notes that contain the tricks you will be teaching that day, along with some bonus theory not taught anywhere else. A nice little add-on to help make some extra money. When you lecture, try to give the attendees something to take away with them other than just some cool tricks. Try to include some in-depth theory or explanation that they can apply to their own magic. For example, when I lecture, I also teach some ways to improve themselves as performers. Some of the ways even found in this very book. This way they have something that they can take home and start working on right away. This will add value to your lectures and help you to book more. Your lecture should not simply be a sales pitch for your product. It should be a way to connect with other performers and provide them with some very useful knowledge. In conclusion, sadly, we have reached the end of How to Magish, the beginner's guide to becoming a professional magician. I truly hope that you've learned a thing or two from reading this. If you ever have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to email me at o'brienmagic@gmail.com. I will be sure to answer your questions as soon as possible. If you enjoyed How to Magish and would like to check out more official products, please visit www.o'brienmagic.com/magic-shop and take a look. Again, thank you so much for reading. I will catch you all later with some more awesome advice on how to Magish. Thank you, everyone.
This has been a 1000 out of 10 production, recorded by Buck Bowen at the Sweatbox in Long Beach, California.